Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be checking out the Runcam Split Mini. Yes, they have done it. They have reduced the size of the Runcam Split to fit a 20 by 20 stack. Not only that, they have considerably reduced the size of the camera, and the width across here is just 18mm, which matches the fitment of the Swift Micro, which is absolutely amazing. It seems like you can just request anything off Runcam these days and they'll have it produced in about a week. So how about this, Runcam? What we really want is a 4K HD FPV feed that also records in 4K 60 and has zero latency. Go! In all seriousness though, it's absolutely amazing, the output of Runcam. It doesn't seem that long ago that they released the V2 of the Split, and now we have this. I didn't even know it was coming. I just thought it was something that people were requesting, but no, here it is direct from them, produced in like a couple of weeks' time, so absolutely amazing. Now, there are some compromises, of course. I think everyone was actually wanting a single board, but it seems like this kind of technology, there's just not room on a single board. So they've had to split it, funnily enough. So yeah, we've got the two boards here and they clip together like so. And the compromise, of course, is that you're going to need a fair amount of space in your stack. And I think the idea with the 20 by 20 stack was to have it fitting some of the 2-inch models. I actually think it's going to be better for the 3-inch models because you're going to have more space because they're bigger. And it's going to be lighter, so yeah, that's something that's great about this. This together, it weighs just 14.6 grams. Of course, that's without the standoffs, but I think the original was like 22 grams, so yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's lighter, I think, because the camera is smaller and lighter, and there's also a few features that they have done away with, such as Wi-Fi. That's a welcome thing for me. I never used it. So yeah, no Wi-Fi on this one, and also the audio has been done differently. There's a microphone on board, but I don't think it has its standalone audio processor, and it's only in mono, so I think the audio quality isn't going to be anywhere near as good as the original Split. If you're wondering why should I go for the original Split, probably the audio, I would say. Also, the field of view on this, they say it's the same, which is 165 degrees in the 16 by 9 and 130 for the cropped 4x3 in the FPV view. I think it's actually narrower. It seems narrower to me than the original. We'll take a look at the flight footage later. But other than that, absolutely amazing. Yeah, so you can see this is where your micro SD card slots in there. It supports up to a 64GB class 10 card. And just like the V2, we have got the solder pads, so it will also run off 5 volt up to 17 volt. And we've also got the TX and RX pads there as well, so you can do your control from Betaflight. I'm not going to do that though, because we've got the usual buttons up there, and I find that I just use the buttons on the Switch. I also find that if you get fail-safes as well, like mini fail-safes, it can adjust the aux channels and it could stop your recording. Probably not. That's the one that I would set up to start and stop recording, but you can also get it to change modes like video modes and stuff like that, and I just don't want anything in my video changing whilst I'm flying whatsoever. So I'm not going to hook that up, but you can if you like. You know, the RX goes to the TX on a spare UART, and the TX goes to the spare RX on the UART, and then where you've got the protocols such as like the Tramp and Smart Audio, you can select Runcam, etc., and do exactly the same as you did there. We got the USB connector on the side there, and you can actually power this up from 5 volt only. That is something to take note of, but you can also do the video through there as well, and that's something that I had to do with the V2 because there's too much noise coming through there. But one thing that's great about the 20 by 20 stack system is it's going to be in a smaller model, and smaller models in general produce less noise. So I've soldered this on here. This is just your standard Runcam connector here. It's the female side to it, I guess you would say, and just your usual Runcam will plug into there. So if you've got a copter already that is set up to plug into, say, a micro Swift, it will plug directly into there, no problems. And like I say, 5 to 17 volt to power that up. So as you can see, the camera connector has been done differently. It just connects on there, and it's on like really tiny pins, and that just slots in there like so. So what they have done is they've come up with a plate that sits over the top of that when it's in your stack to stop it coming off. We've also got the same plate as before that sits over the micro SD card slot to stop your micro SD card from pinging out. And again, it's just on a little tab there, and you pull it down to get your SD card out. It is very neat, absolutely. And of course, you're going to need standoffs between here, and they have included the standoffs. They are a M2 size, and they are like brass. They're brass colored anyways. And yeah, the idea is that those go through the bottom there like that. So yeah, you are going to need a bit of space underneath as well as the top there. So while I've got the calipers out here, let's just see how much space that you're going to need. I think the USB connector is at the extreme on the bottom, and then we have got here the switches. So let's see if I can get the space that you need or thereabouts. It's going to have to be a estimate, I'm afraid. So I think you're going to need about 9 to 10 millimeters spare in your stack for that to fit. And just while we're here, if it interests you, so you're going to need around about 8.7 millimeters space for the back of the camera, and the camera in general is 22.6 millimeters long, and like I say, it should be around 18 millimeters wide. Yeah, 18.6. So yeah, standoffs under there and standoffs between there, and then you are given some of these little nylon nuts to go over the top. You're given absolutely loads of different standoff options and wires, etc., which I'm probably not going to use. So your normal Runcam, that looks like it is JST 1.25 pitch there, 3-pin, and then we have got a mount. Feels like it's made of metal, probably not going to use that. Then we've got these really long metal screws, because they're probably not going to use those either. Quite hard to cut, but very strong. I'll just empty this here. So loads of them. We've got some more of these brass standoffs, but ones that take a screw either side. I'm not sure the camera's even going to pick that up. They're so tiny. Then more M2 nylon standoffs. Absolutely anything you could wish for. And then we've got this other bag of stuff here as well. So this is your USB cable if you want to go down that route. Hopefully I'm not going to have to, but you can see there you can do the video through the USB if you like. Remember, only 5 volts though, and that's got servo cables on the other end, so you probably have to chop those off to use that with your system. And then we've just got a lens cap on here as well, which is a nice touch. So the buttons do exactly the same thing as the full-size version, minus the Wi-Fi option. So the front button here, it starts and stops the recording. The back button, if you long press it, will reset the board. And about, is it like a couple of seconds press? It will take you into the different modes, so you can switch between the 4x3 and 16:9 mode, and then another press of that will get you through the menu. So that's why I don't think you need the Wi-Fi option, because you've got the menu right there, and you can change things like the resolution. Of course, we just want to go 1080p 60. You can change between NTSC and PAL, and you can format the SD card, things like that, just, you know, your usual options. And the TV out I'm actually going to have on the 16:9 option. It's not 16:9. What it does, yeah, so you've got a TV output, you've got full screen option. Full screen gives you a cropped 4:3 image. Whereas if you turn full screen off, you get a cropped 16:9 image in 4:3. So if you're using 16:9 goggles, it'll stretch it. So it's still a 4:3 image, just that you get the full amount of picture of the sensor, so the full field of view, the 165 degrees opposed to the 130. I prefer to have that because I can also put my on-screen display in the black parts of the picture, so I don't find it distracting at all. It's just a really nice setup. The power requirements are the same, by the way, so it's 650 milliamp at 5 volt and 270 milliamp at 12 volt, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem if you're plugging it directly into your battery. But if you are running off a BEC, then you're going to want to make sure that it supports enough amps to power everything up. So I'm sure it's going to be possible to put this stack in a 2-inch model or 2.5-inch model, but just look at the space that we are dealing with those kind of models. There's absolutely no chance this is going to go in there. And the majority of these micro models as well are having the 4-in-1 ESC board because there's just no room on the arms for them. So I think it's going to be challenging to get this into a 2-inch model. So I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to put it in a 3-inch model, and it's going to make it nice and light. And a lot of the 3-inch models out there are using the 20x20 size anyways. So I think this is going to be perfect for that. So I actually filmed myself building it, so I thought I'd show you. So these are the brass standoffs going on top of the original stack. And this is the micro SD card plate that sits over the top of that. And then the bottom board just slotting over the top there. And then some more of the brass style standoffs screwed in over the top of that one. Then I'm going to plug the camera in and just route the wire over the top there. Then I'll take the next board and slot that over the top, make sure all the pins are lining up and it's pressed down tightly. And next I'm going to screw the camera into the carbon, so you're given those 2 screws as well to go into the side. And now I'm plugging in the camera to the top board and then putting that plate over the top there. I'm going to grab a nylon nut and just screw that on with my fingers. You don't want to put them too tight because it's nylon. And then I'm going to do that for all of the other ones so it's in nice and secure. Then I need to slot the camera into the bottom plate of the copter. And then I need to grab the top plate and tighten everything up, and also the screw I took out of the bottom. And that is it. We are done. So if you bought a Furibee X140, it's good news. First of all, because it's a fantastic model, so congratulations on a great purchase. Second of all, the Runcam Split Mini slots in here absolutely perfect with no modifications necessary whatsoever. Now, I know the camera's not protected. Brigade will be out there in the comments, so I will just address this and say what I say in all of my other videos. I don't really fly around objects that much, and I tend to find that when I crash, it's a really unlucky situation if you manage to get to the camera before the props, the arms and the motors. But there you go, I know that bothers some people. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. Camera slots in there, absolutely perfect. So yeah, it was a micro Swift style copy, the Furibee MS, that was in there, and this just slots in there perfect, and there's loads of space out the back to change the angle and put the ribbon in there. The stack, as you can see, very tight, but it fits in absolutely perfect. This here is 30mm from the top to the bottom. There could be more space saved because we've got some longer standoffs down here. But yeah, this is going to be a tall stack no matter what copter you put it in. So you're going to have to make sure that you have a lot of space there. One thing I did have to do is put the receiver round the back. So yeah, before the receiver was just on some tape on the top there. But what's good about the X140 is the Furibee camera that it comes with uses the Runcam connector. So just need to solder your connector onto the mini split board and plug it into the camera, and it's ready to go. This is actually connected to a 5-volt on here, and it seems like the BEC is strong enough. So yeah, I've got it connected to the 5 to 17 volt solder pad, and I've tested the output on here, and it's outputting just over 5 volts. It's like 5.12 volts. So I don't know whether that would overload the USB if you wanted to connect it by the USB. Because with the Split 2, I noticed that I was getting noise using the solder pad, so video noise, regardless of what you plugged it into. So if you just plugged it into a battery, there was noise on there. Guess what though? Pretty much almost gone with this one. So I'm using the solder pads here, so no need to use the USB connector, which I'm glad at, because it means the connector would have to stick out to about here. Make it a little bit heavier as well, but I will go and do a flight with it and see what it is like. But yeah, really pleased with this setup. This copter is weighing just 150 grams without a battery. Very respectable indeed. And I was able to put all of these plates on. So we've got the plate that stops the ribbon coming out, and then we've got the little thing that you bend down here to access the micro SD card. If you are putting this on a Furibee X140, you can even just put the standoffs on top of the original screws and nuts, so you don't need to take those off. In fact, I would say leave them on, because we have got a little switch around here, you can see, and the USB connector would get in the way of that switch if you didn't put the standoffs on top of the original nuts there, which is absolutely perfect, because it means you don't have to take any of this apart. It's almost like this copter was ready for this Split Mini. So really impressed with how this has turned out. Let's go and take it for a fly and see how it performs. So the weather has decided to give me a foggy day, which is not ideal for testing out a camera. I had to keep landing to wipe the condensation off the screen. And I don't recommend flying in fog whatsoever unless you're using conformal coating. But in the short time that I got to fly, I noticed quite a few things. First of all, the latency. It's much better than the V1. I put the V1 on my Ascent 3-inch, and it's a fantastic system, the V1, but I think the V2 and the Mini has better latency. There's also no frames being dropped in the DVR as well, which is good. Let's talk about noise. The noise is much better on the V2 using the solder pads. I was getting noise from just plugging a battery in. That seems to be fixed. However, there's a little bit of noise that is filtering through from the ESCs. Now, I picked this copter because I knew when I reviewed it originally there was no noise through the system, but you can see there little ripple from the electronics there. So a cap would probably help that out. And it's not a huge deal, but yeah, cap might be tricky to put on a smaller copter. Next, I want to talk about the audio, so I'll just be quiet so you can listen to it. So I would say the audio is borderline unusable. It records in mono in the left ear, so if you listen to the raw footage, you'll think that you're deaf in one ear. So I have made the left channel go through both left and right ears on there, so that it doesn't annoy you. But yeah, if you are looking for decent audio, you probably want to go with the full-size version. That is just something you're going to have to put up with if you want this mini version. They have crammed so much in there, and I'm fine with it, so I'll probably just mute the audio on my smaller copters there. So next, let's talk about artifacts. So with all of the other splits, there were artifacts on the screen. That is still there. I'm not going to complain about it too much. If you put a deflicker filter in Premiere on there, it gets rid of the majority of it. I think it comes under the field options in Premiere. So it's going to cost about £60. It is not available yet, but it's going to come out in the next few days after this video on Runcam's website. So if you want to get it from the horse's mouth, buy it from Runcam, but it is going to be available from other retailers, your favourite ones, and I would say just continue to support Runcam. It's amazing what they are doing, and I will continue to support them so they can make these great products that they seem to be coming out on a monthly basis at the moment. Yeah, so really impressed with this system. I do think the field of view is slightly narrower. Let me know what you think, but I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.